Lead the way, brother.
Course, dear audience and beloved um, hosts. Just give me a moment. So as do you can you see my page?
Yes, we can see and hear properly.
Yeah. Okay. So so okay. So dear friends, today I will be talking about one of the most fundamental um, pillars of meditation and something that we encounter every day and sometimes constitutes a big part of our everyday life, especially when it comes to tasks. Today's topic is about Dharana, which by its broadest definition means concentration. And Dharana is a sixth of the eight limbs of yoga as part of the Patanjali's school of thought in the Yoga Sutras. And uh, as you can see in the picture, the eight first starts with the yeah, so some that we have covered in the previous weeks. But today I'll be focusing on number six, which is Dharana. The primary components of um, this principle, uh, dependent on different traditions and different philosophies, there are different uh, fragments to this discipline. But mainly, it's the external focus that we have, the external concentration. It's either on an image, on an object, on a deity, or the internal focus that as you progress with the external focus, you become internally uh, conscious of your own mind, that then you suffice to the visual impressions in your own mind. You don't need any external source, which could be the chakras, the nadis, a thought, an idea, an ideology. And uh, through a research that I had in an article, which I found this information interesting, uh, the way that one concentrates one's mind to some extent determines what kind of person they are and what samskaras, or in other words, psychic impressions, are within that person. And the nature of the target one chooses, the target meaning the subject of concentration, is also a clue to the inner structure of a person, the psychology and the, the, the thought process of a person. And when a student enters the Dharana state, uh, uh, can know something quite personal about themselves as they become the observer of themselves, which pertains to that internal concentration that one achieves through Dharana. And he or she becomes the object of his own study, his or her study. Next, we have the traditional and the cross cultural views on Dharana. So, I have provided some of the most uh, prominent ones that I found. So, in the yogic tradition, the main goal of Dharana and the outcome that one should be looking for is to dissipate uh, that boundary and that gap that one has with a subject, whether it be a thought, uh, whether it be an object. Uh, for example, if I have something, a task, a chore uh, to set or to be done, I will be able to see myself one with what I have to do. And that is the ultimate ability that one achieves by true concentration, true dharana, which uh, The goal, in other words, is to dissipate the causal manifestation, in other words, the distractions that one have, or the inherent experiences, whether it be a trauma, whether it be a negative energy emitted and indeed absorbed by you or someone, or just the simple observations and the the central input that we receive from around the world. It's family, could be friends, could be uh, something that's not even alive, could be a book. And in Trataka uh, tradition, it's also similar in what the goal and target is in the Yokic school of thought, and that is gazing steadily at one point, and that aims to control the dissipation which occurs when we become aware and one with the form, whether external or internal. So it's basically to assimilate what we encounter during the day. Again, whether it be an idea, a thought, uh, an emotion, a feeling, then by Dharana, we would be able to, which is intense concentration, we'll be able to see ourselves merged with one as a whole, as one unit with what we focus on. Doesn't matter if external or internal. That uh, unlocks our mental eye that we have towards that thing. In other words, it excludes distractions. Distractions could be the way that we learned in school to uh, to analyze or to act upon something. So by Dharana, we learn how to look within ourselves and not something that we have picked up from another school of thought by something uh, imperfect and incomplete, which would be us human beings. And lastly, Upanishadic tradition. And as you can see, all three uh, they align with each other, which the entire point is to concentrate. But in the last one, the Upanishadic tradition, it's a rather complex process of different states of external, intermediate, and internal. And all of these stages are rather be completed progressively uh, because of first the intensity and then of the pace of one's evolution and ability to control one's mind. Uh, and each of these states, external, intermediate, and internal, utilize different methods of visualization that how you can manifest the true focus and concentration you need to be able to unbiasedly and without any opinionated uh, eye of judgment see the thing that's in front of you or that you think about during the day. And in Upanishadic tradition, that visualization and the whole method is done through mediums of space and, in other words, akasha. And as an example, uh, according to Vedic tradition, akasha or space uh, is the most effective support for meditation. For instance, by dwelling on the image of the sky, an expansion of mind takes place automatically. You don't need to think about your mind getting expanded or going towards a limitless horizon. When you think about sky, which by itself represents a limitless uh, body, then that process for you automatically happens. And that's based on the psychology that your mind has towards the image of sky. The opposite of expansion is contraction, which brings discomfort and uneasiness. That's why when we choose our objects, we need the object of concentration to be something that would take us out of the circle that we've created for ourselves or our own personal limitations that we have. Uh, in other words, again, the ethereal vastness is a source of energy and power, and all impede us towards actions issues from the immense void. And I have uh, come up with a list from a book that uh, gives you the um, quintessential objects of concentration and focus that you can incorporate in your Dharana process. Next, we have the philosophical interpretation. I've chosen um, one of the most significant philosophies, Buddhism. In Buddhism, there is a concept, just like Dharana, and uh, however, in Buddhism, Dharana is considered to be one body with uh, the the fifth limb of uh, yoga, which is the pratyahara. It is, in other words, the primary stage of concentration in which you have to internalize your awareness. That's the first. And then in the Dharana, you incorporate the concentration. So in Buddhism, uh, these two are associated with the principle that consists of two stages, is samatha and vipassana. In samatha, which correlates with pratyahara, it's known by direct translation to be the pacification of the mind or the calm abiding. And vipassana is the possession of deep insight into the nature of reality, which, as I said, was the dissolution of that boundary that you have with either an external object or an internal image, whether it be a thought or emotion. You want to merge in with what you see in front of you and not have the judgment and the discernment of what has been created by others. Uh, and moreover, the Dharana, which is the Vipassana uh, aspect in Buddhism, it consists of two stages, which is Vitakka and Visara. The first one is the direction of a disciplined mind to a chosen object, which again is the first stage of concentration, that you choose your target of concentration, focus. And the last one is Vikara, which is an examination beyond the physical form by a fixated spiritual attention. So that is the unifying of your mind with your object of concentration and focus. And then we get to some movements and some visual representation of Dharana. I have listed here the first stage of the Dharana series, which is the Kaya Sthirayam. Pardon my pronunciation. The first one is preparation. Second one is body posture. You have to be aware of where to sit and where to be comfortable to find your body at ease. Second is the visualization. Third is the visualization of body. That you visualize an environment where you feel most secure and safe. And then there's body tree. You should feel rooted to where you are. You should feel one with where you sit and in your physical world. The sensation of the body parts, the immobility of the body. When when you want to set your mind to a one pointed concentration, then you become, uh, in other words, disconnected from your body, which leads to the steadiness and stillness of both body and mind, and then the psychic rigidity, and then the breath awareness, the state of concentration, and lastly, the end in practice. I have included sources that you can find a more detailed instruction on how to perform these practices, but because of the time constraint that we have here, I could only offer you the brief description of what they are. And uh, pertaining to what I uh, had to offer, just a few examples of the object of concentration. So there are subcategories. One could choose gods, saints, or people. It could be a Shiva, it could be a Trimurti, Sita, Rama, Radha, Krishna, or it could be sacred objects. Uh, I would like to just add a few more to those examples of people. It could be a friend, it could be a teacher, it could be a wife, a son, a daughter, a relative. Uh, but the most important thing, you don't need to abide by the idea of concentrating on a divine being, whether God, whether the supreme consciousness. Uh, it's whatever make you comfortable and your mind. And this is just for the very rudimentary stage that you only need to gain your awareness first. And then when the concentration is in your mind, when you've obtained it already, then you can change your subject of concentration. To continue, it could be sacred objects. It could be a cross, it could be an altar, a cathedral window, it could be a prayer wheel, it could be a tantric image, it could be a ring of skulls, it could be a shell, uh, or it could be uh, sacred. If I said sacred objects, excuse me, that was sacred. If I said sacred places, that was sacred objects. And for sacred places, at last, it could be a temple, a church, a chapel, a cathedral, a pyramid, a mosque, or natural scenes, mountain, hills, valley, desert, oasis, cliffs, sand dunes, white beach, jungle, forest grove. Could be anything, but you only have to see what makes you more comfortable with your state of concentration. And Marina, I don't know if Max is available, but this is just for the science lovers of this session. I figured a little bit of scientific proof would facilitate a person believing in actually the effect of these yogic principles. If not, it is being recorded and he can see it later. So, lastly, the analyzation, the reflection of uh, the impacts on people who have tried it. So, I have summarized in this process of 8 experiments that were done on participants who were trained to practice Dharana. And uh, the effects first are positive changes in autonomic and respiratory variables. Second is a lower sympathetic activity and arousal during the Dharana. Third one is higher frontal alpha 1 and beta 1 amplitudes, which correlates with holistic experiences of pure consciousness, which sounds very imaginary, but participants who were by no means aware of the power of the yogic practices. So, uh, in their pure unawareness of the effects of yoga, they were able to achieve that stage of mindset, which is very surprising to me personally. And uh, also the object recognition, which then is associated with better selective attention and visual scanning and increasing the ability to do a repetitive motor activity. This actually has been done to a group of managerial positions in a company that they chose from different sectors of that enterprise, uh, workers and employees uh, that were rather um, agitated or stressed when met with something more of a chaotic busyness during their work. And that doing this meditation and the steps of the Dharana help them actually become quite self aware of what is happening around them and one by one pointed concentration, to be able to go through all the tasks that they have during the day, which were the same amount that they had before, but now they were able to uh, manage them more orderly and more regularly. And that appealed to me personally, figured should be included. And I will be open to entertain any questions or any inquiries before reaching the end of presentation. If not, yes, Nemo.
I wonder what's the last slide? Are you sharing the last one?
This is just resources that I've prepared.
Wow, it's very comprehensive. Very interesting. I wonder what's your specific what's your experience with dharana or concentration in relation to music and your endeavors with music, either learning or performing or composing.
So I was very glad when I was given this topic because it is something that I have problem with, that it is very hard for me sometimes to focus or to concentrate on the specific tasks that I'm doing, especially in music. That if we think about it, I am, I believe, the youngest of all of you, but you certainly have listened to more music than I have. And one of the challenges for me is that when I play music, just for a little background, I play jazz and I need music to help me improvise. I get inspiration from different genres and different artists. And I have experienced when I'm concentrated fully on the task, uh, the channel that is there for me to remember musics or artists or riffs that I have listened to in the past to be 2, 3 times thicker than usual. That ideas just pour into my mind when I focus on the task and there's no distractions in the way. That is very surprising. I have done things on the piano that to the core surprised me and my teacher sometimes. Uh, so, yes, that is my personal experience with music. But I'll be happy to hear if any of you had any uh, miraculous um, incidents of full concentration.
Yeah, I think Madhuvidya has an answer to this question.
Well, actually, yes, I had an experience. I think before starting to meditate, or somewhere in the beginning, I was painting, and I became so concentrated on what I was doing that uh, it was almost like the painting was painting itself, and I was just the instrument. And it felt very, very nice to do it because every movement, every brush stroke was just as it was supposed to be on its place, and nothing was excessive or I wasn't limited by anything, and the result was good as well. But that wasn't the point. So I think that was the only experience of flow state that I had with painting before starting to do kirtan, I think.
The experience I've had, I don't know if it really relates to this form of Dharana or concentration or flow state, happened spontaneously. Um, I was driving on the highway with my brother. I was very distracted for some reason, and up ahead, uh, there was a lot of traffic, but I didn't realize it. I was actually going really fast, and by the time I realized, I was pretty much going to be in a car accident. But in that moment, when I reflect back, it felt like fractions of a second. Uh, like that moment was only fractions of a second, but in the moment, it felt um, like time slowed down in a way, and the movements required in my driving were so precise and unconscious that what was required for me to do um, came from a level beyond my actual thinking. I've actually had two separate incidents driving where I've had that experience where it was like the accident was there, but something else sort of took over. So I don't know if it's similar to, reaching a state of pure concentration where, or a flow state where the actions just sort of happen by themselves type of thing. Um, and on a separate note, just related to what you were saying, Kashi, about your music related to this concentration, I I'm reminded of a band. They're called Tool. The drummer is a next level phenom, but I know that he uses his instrument, his practice as a tool to uh, spiritual elevation. So I guess if, no matter what we're sort of focusing on, as long as the intention behind the practice, even related to what Dada was saying before, with devotion, with love, then the spiritual practice could be uh, available or practiced in any endeavor, in everything we do.
I think it's really the matter of because now we're living in the age when day and age when everyone the focus everybody is just harping after our focus and concentration. So it's the matter of energy and our flow where we dedicate our energy, where our focus goes, there our energy goes. So normally when we do something or we are with somebody who we love, this, they're talking about the state where you just get into this timeless place where just place, time just disappears. And that's why people are so enamored by this idea of love, why we're all about love, and why this word is sacred in each language, because the world seems to disappear. We lose our personality. And this disassociation, this depersonalization is very blissful and happy and something that we want to do, something that we aspire and strive for. And I remember my primary, before the formal meditation practice that I was doing, I remember my strongest feelings of presence and love were acting. When I was on stage, when I was performing, it was the feeling of complete presence, concentration, and it was electrifying. And I was the most real. And I look up to some of my favorite musicians, and then they say, "Well, life only happens when you're on stage, when you feel this feeling of being in a way in the limelight, of being." But it's not exclusive to being on stage. It's this feeling of presence and being seen, and this, if you think about what meditation truly is, it's nothing by being seen by God. So you're making yourself seen to God, you're making yourself accessible. You kind of just close down your perception, you close down the doors pretty much to everything but just to God. You just want to be seen by Him. You just want to be witnessed by Him. You want to be in His presence. So in a way, you let His light shine on you. His light of consciousness just shine on you, and you are in His presence. And I think we get a glimpse of that when we are in the presence of who we love, like our loved ones, our presence, our children, our beloved, and it's just, yeah, it's crazy. And what precedes this is just like this idea of kind of everything just disappears and goes into nowhere. So this initial stage of pratyahara is so important and so fundamental for successful dharana, because sure enough, in a way, the focus of meditation, the focus of dharana, the focus of spiritual meditation is so important. And that's why in the yogic tradition, this idea of goal or samadhi, or having this idea of where we're going towards, is so important and it's so key. And the first secret of success by Shiva is firm determination that I must be there, I must be one with my goal, I must be successful in my mission, which is becoming one with my beloved. And the second secret is complete reverence for the goal, love for the goal, appreciation for the goal. And the third one is Guru Pujanam, or complete surrender at the goal. So this is like all different aspects of the same process of surrendering before something incredibly precious, or someone rather. It's not an object. We're surrendering. Object is the meditation does not have an object. Meditation has a subject, and we are, so to speak, is an object. Figuratively speaking, practically we are also a subject. But in comparison to this supreme consciousness, supreme subject, we are his subject. So this is very, I think this gives some kind of very alive and precious and sacred and mystical element to this entire process of meditation, because we are um, just kind of shedding all crap and junk and debris and shite, whatever you want to call it, and we just purify ourselves in His presence, in His love, and everybody has felt it. He has made Himself seen, He has made Himself felt and experienced in different forms, be it from music, be it from an opposite sex, be it in some accomplishment, achievement, nature, I don't know, poetry, whatever. And it's interesting, one final comment. I'm working with one person right now, and his name is Daria. He's Indian, and his name means patience. So this idea of Daria, or the Sanskrit word Dhriti, which means patience, has the same root meaning with concentration, Dharana. So to focus your mind on something. Yeah, great presentation, brother. Thanks.
Appreciate all of you for giving a chance to a rather yet immature participant of your sessions. Yeah, it was great for me also to dive deep into one of the most important, I would say, especially in this era where everything is deemed to distract us. There's rarely any book I see around uh, my family, my friends. There are more things that include within themselves their auditory aspect, the visual aspect. So everything is there for you to process. there's not much that you yourself scrutinize. Let's say when you're reading a book, it's just words, the imagination is left to you. But when everything is prepared and given to you, you have no choice but to accept or reject it, which in most of the cases we do accept. So concentration gives us that, I would say, conscious decisiveness as to what is right and what is not right. And I have also, I must give credit and give the reference to one of the videos about Dharana that was posted in Meditation Steps on YouTube. I again forget the name of the presenter. It's a rather long name. But he states that eventually by concentration, you become one with your subject of concentration, which then gives you the ability to tell what is right and what is wrong, because then you're merged with that thing, and it originates within you to follow what you see or what you hear or what you sense or don't, and it leaves you with a lot of wisdom as to what to do and what not to do, because then there's nothing to distract you. You see everything that one subject has to offer you, whether it is an emotion or it's an object, it's a person. And yeah, it's really fascinating topic for me. I hope I covered it at least to a satisfactory level that you could also use later in the future. If not, again, excuse my unskilledness, and hope I do a better job next time. Thank you.
Well, your research skills, balanced, tempered presentation, and your state of calmness are very much noted and respected.